Hi everyone, this is a video just to summarise the story so far because we've got a lot of information. We're going to keep it in our heads because we're going to need it next week. So here's what happened in the first part of our story. There was a prophecy. This prophecy said that the child born to Thetis, who is a sea nymph, a kind of half god, her child would be so powerful, it would be more powerful than its father, whoever that would be. Now when Zeus heard about this, he was worried because he thought, hang on, she's already pretty powerful. If her child is going to be more powerful than its father, maybe when it grows up, it'll be even more powerful than me. So he decided, right, you know what? I'm going to make her not marry a god. I'm going to make her not have a child with a god. I'm going to make her have a child with a human. And then instead of it being like a god power and a god power and they have a god power baby, it'll be like a half god mum and a regular guy dad, and the baby will be kind of not as powerful. That was the plan. Because Zeus is the king of the gods, he can do things like that and just force people to do whatever. And that's what he did. So he forced her to marry this guy called Peleus, who is the king, and he was a human being. He wasn't a god, he wasn't a half god, he was just a regular human being. A brave man, but just a man. So they had this big wedding. All the gods went, they were having a huge party, they were eating loads of food, dancing, playing games. Maybe they did a dab. They were just having a huge party. Until there was a knock at the door, the doors flew open. Who came in? It was this ancient, scary-looking god lady. Her name was Eris. She was the god of chaos, and she had a gift. She walked up with this box, and she went straight to Peleus and said, here's a gift for you. And he's like, no gifts needed, I don't want a gift. And everyone was like, you have to take it. You can't reject a gift from the gods. So he opened a box and he took out this apple, and on the apple there was the word Callisti, which means to the most beautiful. Eris said, Peleus, you need to give this apple to the most beautiful woman who's in here. Fine, okay. So Peleus looked around, but then he saw his wife Thetis. She said, I'm your wife, you're going to give me that apple. But then he looked at Queen Hera, the queen of the gods, and she said, you better give me that apple, don't embarrass me in front of all of these people. And then he looked at Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and she said, choose me. And then looked over at Aphrodite, who was the goddess of beauty, and she said, look how beautiful I am, choose me. Peleus thought, this is too hard. I'm going to make everyone mad. I'm a smart guy. I'm not making this decision. He goes over to Zeus. He says, Zeus, come here. Zeus comes over. He says, Zeus, I thought you might want to make this decision because you're the smartest person here. So Zeus goes, thank you. And he thinks it's a gift. He thinks he's flattered. He looks around. He sees all the women there. And then he realises he doesn't want to make this choice either because his wife Hera will be mad if he doesn't choose her. His daughter Athena will be mad if he doesn't choose her. And Aphrodite will be mad because she's the goddess of beauty. Of course he wants to choose her. So he looks around and then he sees over in the distance at the back of the room, there's someone there who's the prince of Troy. Now this is all happening in Greece. Troy is in another little place. He's a visitor from somewhere else coming to the wedding. So he calls over, his name is Paris. Prince Paris. He says, Prince Paris, come here. Prince Paris, come here. You should make this decision. Now, Prince Paris is not very smart. He's a pretty boy, but he's not very smart. So he looks over and he says, oh, thank you. Okay, I'll choose. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I don't know who to choose. So then they all say, right, let me do a deal with you. Queen Hera says, if you choose me, I'll give you power. If you choose me, Paris, you will own all of Europe and all of Africa. And he thought, oh, that sounds pretty good. I might choose that. But then Athena said, well, if you choose me, I'll give you all the knowledge you need to be the most powerful person in the world. You'll be an amazing, smart person. You'll be able to win battles. You'll have a great brain for strategy. Everyone will respect you if you choose me. And Paris thought, oh, that sounds pretty good too. Maybe I'll choose her. But then Aphrodite says, well, if you choose me, I will make sure that you enjoy being in love with the most beautiful woman in the world, and she'll love you back. That's what I'll give you if you choose me. And he thought, okay, I've got to choose between power, wisdom, and beauty. Beauty, please! I want the pretty wife. That's what he did. So he made that deal with her, and that was that. That was the deal that they made then and there. He gave it to her, but it created a lot of anger because Hera, the queen of the gods, was mad with Aphrodite. And Athena, the goddess of wisdom, was mad with Aphrodite. Oh, it created some grief, and we're going to find out more next time. All that we need to know now is about this next little bit here. Soon after the wedding, Achilles was born. Achilles was the child of Thetis and Peleus. Now, there was another prophecy. This prophecy said, this baby will either grow up to have a long, boring, regular life, and then he'll die as an old man, not really have achieved anything. Or he will grow up to be one of the most famous heroes in existence. He will fight, he will be a warrior, he will win, and he will be a war hero, but he will die young. Now Thetis heard this about her newborn baby, and she was thinking, this is bad news, I don't want him to die young. I think he might die young, I don't want this. So she made up some plans. The first thing she did is she took him down to the river, because she's a goddess with her own smart plans. She dunked him into this river, which made him really, really, really strong. It meant he couldn't feel pain anywhere that the water touched him. And the water covered him because she dunked him in the water, but she didn't want him to float off down the river. So she just held him by his heel. So that was the only bit that didn't get in the water. She also sent him off to be educated by a centaur, which you do, don't you, when you want to protect your babies. So she sent him off into the mountains to be raised by a half man, half horse teacher. And this centaur looked after him and lots of other princes, lots of other boys, taught them how to fight, taught them how to think, taught them how to play music, taught them how to read and enjoy poetry, all of these things. That's where the story ends, as far as we were concerned today. Next week, we're going to find out what happened with Paris and his promise of falling in love with the most beautiful woman in the world. We're going to find out what happened to Achilles, whether he ended up just having a regular life or whether he became a war hero. We're going to find out how any of this links to war, because this is all about the Trojan War, but we've not even heard anything about it yet. All to be revealed next week.